All right, everybody, welcome back to the next episode of Coaster Conventional. And today I have a guest here. Her name is Bella from Teacup Thrills. Everybody say hi to Bella. So, what we have for you today is we are going to be talking about a little bit more about Great Adventure. And since Bella is actually a ride operator at Six Flags, we're going to be talking about some really funny general public stories. So one thing that I just want to make a quick disclaimer about is we're not hating on the general public. We understand the general public is what keeps these parks alive. But you know, some of the things the GP does sometimes, as coaster enthusiasts, we see it as kind of triggering. So we're just gonna have a little bit of a laugh about it. We're not, trying to be negative about anything here. So Bella, talk to us a little bit about yourself and how you became a coaster enthusiast. I can't. Oh, there you go. There you go. I can hear you. Oh, wait. Nope. Now you're muted. Oh, I still can't hear you. Okay. Oh, there you go. There you go. I muted it. I had it up here on my phone here. Yeah, for some reason I still can't hear you. Did you click the mute button? Cause I had your voice for like 2 seconds and it went away. Yeah, you're still muted. Like I said, check your mic settings. Actually, wait, let me just double check, make sure it ain't me. Nah, it's not me. Yeah, okay, hold on. So I'm gonna share my screen with you real quick. I'll show you how to do this. Alright, you see my screen? So you're gonna go to down here, and you're gonna use your settings, and you're gonna go voice and video, and you're gonna check what your input device is, because these are all your microphones, and you're gonna make sure you have it on probably your, I don't know what microphone you have, but probably your webcam or something. Sorry guys, Bella's having microphone issues, trying to figure out why we're not getting any sound from her. Oh, I got something. I heard you type
You
there
got
for a
it?
second. Yeah, I hear it now.
Okay.
What the heck happened?
I don't know what's going on with my microphone.
All right. I guess no webcam because is it the webcam that's doing it? Oh.
Like when I try to do stuff with the mic, the camera goes off. It's weird.
Oh, okay. Well, you're good now. You got the webcam on now and mic's on. So.
All right.
All right. Cool. Yeah. So as I said,
Sorry.
let's get into how you became a coaster enthusiast.
I mean, just like being around the job a lot, and not really the first season, because I came in to Great Adventure mid 2018 season, and then around 2019, I think it was like one of my days off. I was like scrolling through YouTube, and I see this YouTube channel, Officer O'Leary. I'm like, who the hell is this? So I click
I know
on
who
it.
that is. I know who that
I love
is.
Sean.
Shout out to Sean O'Leary. I know who that is.
Sean O'Leary. I'm like, who the hell is this? So I click on it, and I saw Great Adventure videos and other park videos. I'm like, oh my god, this dude's like so cool. And I'm like, I should like message him, and I did. And then I knew who he was, and then got to know who he was. And then I met someone else. Shout out to Coaster Crusader, by the way.
I know him as well.
He's one of one of the big coaster enthusiasts I met, and he was a big person that made me into an enthusiast. I
Mm-hmm.
was super super scared of riding coasters,
Mm-hmm.
like deathly terrified, like wouldn't even set foot on one thing. Like I was just a total GP. Just to let's just put it in that perspective. But then one of the first times I hung out with Mike, he dragged me on Bizarro, and I
Mm-hmm.
ended up loving it. And then like the next time it was like Batman, Nitro, so on and so forth, and like each time like I'm like, oh my god, I want to go on again. So
Yeah, that happens. That happens when you're new to it. You know what I mean? Like, and like, I'm sure like when you were younger, it seemed a lot more intimidating. Now that you're older, it probably was easier for you to do that at this point in your life. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
So what exactly it was? So let me clarify something. Were you already working at Great Adventure by the time that all of this went down, or had you not started working there yet?
I worked there already.
Okay. So what made so you didn't like roller coasters that much beforehand? So what made you want to work at Great Adventure?
Actually, really funny. A few of my ex's friends worked there, and I originally applied for retail,
Oh, okay.
but I ended up not getting it. And you know what? I'm just gonna switch departments at the last second. I applied to rides, and I don't regret it at all. I love it,
Yeah, that's
and
good.
it's like good and bad to it, which is like every job. But
Yeah. Yeah, well, it seems like you've benefited greatly from the fact that you switched departments, especially now that you've found a newfound love for roller coasters and whatnot. So I would say that worked out. So let's talk a little bit about Great Adventure. What are some of your favorite things to do at the park?
I mean, besides work there,
Well, the reason I ask is because you work there. I'm sure
yeah.
you know you have like your from being an employee at the park. I'm sure you have a different perspective on some things than other people do. So that's why I ask, because I feel like your point of view would be different and possibly more interesting.
I mean, it's not that different than most people. I mean, I get in for free and stuff, and I mean that's pretty much it. And then let's just like I'm just gonna use this as a prime example. Like when Jersey Devil first opened, like I'm probably gonna be the first or the first few people to ride it because I'm an employee. We're probably gonna have a rides party
Mm-hmm.
for Jersey Devil. I don't know yet. I don't know nothing about that. I just saw videos of it testing, but I couldn't actually see it because I was actually working. So
Yeah, and actually, Great Adventure confirmed this to be false on their YouTube today, because a lot of people had been asking about it, but this morning advertisement for Jersey Devil got leaked, and at the end of the advertisement video, it actually said that Jersey Devil was going to open in May. So
I
that's
saw
what
that too. I'm like,
you
oh,
know. What
the month's almost over.
I freaked out about it at first, and I was like, you know what,
Like
maybe.
I keep seeing that. I'm like, that's totally false.
Yeah. Yeah, I freaked out about it at first, and I was like, wait a minute, I need to regather myself, because I've been really excited for Jersey Devil. So, like, when I saw a hint towards an opening date, like, my mind clicked. I was like, I need to go, I need to, figure this out. So, I went and did a little bit more research, and shout out to Collywood Studios, actually, because he's the one that figured it out for everybody. He went on the YouTube page for their most recent aerial flyover view, and he asked them if it was actually going to open in May, and they confirmed that they do not have an opening date set in stone yet. So, for all those wondering, Jersey Devil still does not have an opening date. Bummer. Anyways, yeah, so, as an employee, like, what are your favorite things to do while you're working at the park?
I mean, with the GP because it's actually funny. um, I mean, I operate Green Lantern.
Mm-hmm.
It's for those who don't know, it's B&M. It's a B&M stand-up coaster. And just they don't know how to stand up on the ride, and we're just telling them. I'm literally like saying, "Stand up, stand up, stand up," and it just. And I'm like, you gotta stand up. Like, no matter how many times I say it.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's my favorite part because like I just deal with that all the time. I just gotten used to it because I was trained there for 2 seasons. This is my second season trained there, so.
Yeah, so you mentioned that you work at Green Lantern. So what other rides and parts of the park do you work at for our viewers?
I'm just gonna do the whole thing.
Okay.
In 2018, I was at Boardwalk section, which was not the teacups, Twister, parachutes, shot, and the go karts.
Mm-hmm.
That was my section for the first 2 seasons, and then I ended up getting cross trained in 2019 to Fantasy Forest, which is the teacups,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the carousel and Houdini, and I love Fantasy Forest like every time I was there because of situations I was in 2019 with certain employees.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not I'm not really gonna talk about that,
That
but
that's
just
yeah, understandable.
and then 2020 I was at Bugs Bunny National Park and the Mine Train,
Mm-hmm.
and Bill trained at EB&P and the Mine Train this season, and then this season I'm mostly gonna be at Green Lantern.
So in the future, do you see yourself moving to other rides, or is Green Lantern a ride that you think you're gonna be staying at?
I mean, I kind of wanted to get trained at Superman or Ka,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe Bizarro or Toro, but most likely isn't happening.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see.
What
I might get retrained at the Teacups and Carousel and Bikini, but
So, what exactly do you have to do as a Six Flags employee to certify yourself to be able to get trained at other rides? Like, what exactly do you have to do to earn the opportunity to get trained at other rides? You know what I mean?
like, what's the process?
Yeah, like, what's the process? Like, how do you get nominated to get trained for specific rides? Like, did you pick Green Lantern, or did they tell you that we're gonna put you here? This is what you're doing for the season.
I mean, since I had like EB&P and the Mine Train as an option too for this season, and I also had Atlanta because I was fully trained there. I'm like, you know what? I want to try Green Lantern for a full season and
Mm-hmm.
see how that goes. So just to have more experience. So and now like I was at BB&P on Saturday, and like it's just weird because I'm always used to fast paced
Mm-hmm.
at a coaster because it's like you gotta get in 75 seconds. Air gates are closing 3, 2, 1. Like I'm just rolling out trains really, really, really quick. Versus a kids ride, they're like running around all over the place and trying to like keep them still. So.
Mm-hmm. So when you work Green Lantern, do you only do restraint checks, or do you also operate the operators panel?
I'm also at the operator panel too.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So, is there anything like specifically like challenging about operating the operators panel, or is it simple?
I mean, when I first got trained there, I'm like, what is this? Like, I had no idea. Like, I was like kind of scared to touch it because I wasn't
Yeah.
operator trained like the first month of last season because I was just like operator tests are way harder than the attendant ones.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh my god, I'm not gonna pass. So, and at the same time, just looking at the panel, I'm like, what is this? So, I mean, like, I know how to do like block checks, safety checks, and just generally operate it. So,
Okay. What is your favorite thing about working Green Lantern? Because I'm sure you probably enjoy working that the most out of everything that you're trained at.
like I said, dealing with the GP, and then like their restraint would be like not really really loose, but like they'll say, "Oh my god, it's not tight enough," and I staple the living hell out of them. I'm like, yeah, and then they're like, "Oh my," yeah, just fill in the blank.
So we've mentioned GP a lot already. So let's get into some GP stories. I'll start with one that I actually just recently had at this past Power Hours on Thursday. So we were all actually like I was there with, as you know, Jason Pennypacker, and I was also there with Fearless Coasters and her boyfriend. And we were just all marathoning El Toro for a little while, and then at the end of the night, we all kind of like went our separate ways, and I stayed with Pennypacker, and then we met up with Christian Duffy. I don't know if you know him, but he's like a super big like filmmaker for like theme parks, and he has a lot of other projects too. I actually was just checking out his stuff because it was the first time I met him on Thursday, and a lot of it is really good, like really high quality production. Anyway, back to the GP story. So yeah, we had done one last ride on El Toro for the night, and I don't know how they got in there, but two people managed to drive their car into El Toro's restricted area, and they were literally walking around looking for their cell phone. As we got off of the train on El Toro's brake run, we looked down, and they were literally like trying to hop the fence over by where Rolling Thunder's Hill is, and we got off the ride and we like shouted at the operator because we were like, dude, there's people in restricted like right over here, over like literally just walking around. They had their car in there. Like, how do you get your car in there? It was this beater freaking Chevy Impala, red Chevy Impala, and somehow they're in there with their car in restricted area. And I'm just thinking to myself, man, how the heck did you get your car in there? Like, it makes no sense.
Like, it wasn't anyone from the park. It was like...
No, they were GP. They were GP.
That's weird.
It was some dude and his girlfriend, and they were looking for her phone or some shit. So... Yeah, so we shouted at the ops. Unfortunately, they had already dispatched a train. So, yikes. Luckily, nobody got hurt. But the operators were all scrambling. They all ran down like the handicap ramp, and they started shouting at them, "Get out of there! That's a restricted area. Get away from there. You're not supposed to be in there." And then I didn't get to see the rest of it. But man, some of the things the GP does is crazy. Like, I just don't understand. I don't understand. Like, you know you're not supposed to be back there. I get you lost your phone, but at the same time, be responsible. Like, they tell you not to take your phone on rides like El Toro. Like, put it in a locker. It's only $1 for 2 hours. I mean, it's not that bad.
Yeah, not that difficult. Especially since it's like the New Jersey state law to put your stuff in a locker for El Toro, Kingda Ka, Joker, and when Jersey Devil opens, that's going to be there. The strict loose article policy. So FYI.
Yeah. Well, I think somebody confirmed it a while back that Jersey Devil was going to have the strict loose article policy. I don't understand how that law works. Like, how exactly do they come up with the criteria of a ride to require that? Because I think they had it on Nitro for a while and then they took it off. So like, how does that work?
I think that the loose article policy for that stopped before I even started the job. So that for Nitro, I have no idea. But for something like Toro, there was a situation. I mean, this is from what I overheard. Apparently, some dude had his phone out on the ride, and this is like when Toro like not very first opened.
No,
like
this
the first years.
It was like I think it was in like 2010, 2011. I think I heard this story. He had his phone out on the ride and it hit some lady behind him, and she got like really hurt by it. Had like a head injury or whatever, and she sued the park.
No, it was the guest lost their eye.
Oh God, yeah. Okay.
And I had to rush to the ER.
Ooh.
So.
I felt that one. Ouch.
So that's why. Put your stuff in a locker, people.
Yeah. Yeah, so we were talking the other day, and you have some pretty interesting GP stories, so let's get into some of your GP stories.
Oh God, where do I even start? So from this season, one of the most funniest ones was these guests were going into like row 6 or 5 or 6. I think it was 6. They were going on the train. It was like a whole family. It was like a family of like 4, 4, 5. It was 4, and I'm on the unload side trying to check the train, and as I get to row 6, this dude puts his little kid on the train. Like, mind you, she's not tall enough. This kid literally looked maybe about 3-4 years old. Like, didn't read the height requirement. Nothing. And I'm like, I look at them like, you can't ride. And the operator is one of my good friends now. And he was like, yeah, I just wanted to wait for your reaction. just so you could see that. I'm like, yeah, that kid can't ride. Like, I mean, yeah, like if she rides, like we could get sued.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a lawsuit waiting to happen. And
Yeah, I guess they wanted their kid killed. I don't know, man.
but props on you guys for making sure that that didn't
I'm
happen.
like, yeah, you gotta go.
Yeah, and the worst part about it too is, and I don't know if this person specifically argued with you, but most GP would like try to argue against stuff like that, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean they didn't. They're like, okay, and then like he left with his daughter, and then the mother actually rode it the first time, the first round. She goes on the ride, and then it comes back into the station. Mind you, she almost lost her weave, so she's holding on to her weave while riding Lantern. And then she comes back like waving it like this. I'm like, what is going? I'm like this. What the hell is going on with this family right now? It's
Hmm.
so fun. I just have my thumb up and everything. I'm like, this is the funniest thing I have seen like ever.
Hmm.
And then obviously we have those dumb GP that just love to jump in the restricted. I had that yesterday, like towards the end of the night. I had to immediately cancel a visual scan. I'm like, get out of the restricted! Like I almost lost my voice.
Hmm.
And they just wouldn't. And
What's
I'm like, yeah, you gotta go. They're like, why can't we stay in here? I'm like, what do you mean you can't? What do you mean? You gotta go. Like, I mean, do you want to get killed? I'm like, I don't think you do. Please get out.
and that's one thing I don't understand. Like they have fences like everywhere. Say caution, do
And
not
it
enter
says
this area.
danger.
Yeah, like
Bold letters and all capitals, and they just.
well, like, wouldn't you just like get the picture at that point? Like, don't go where you're not supposed to go, or
I don't know. I don't know. They're just dumb and they just want to jump in, and I'm just like, okay, like I gotta get you out of there, like now, because like, I think one of the first times I was getting op trained, last season, someone jumped into the restricted, and I was scared as I'm holding onto the dispatch buttons, and then you just hear one of my attendants go, "Someone's in the restricted." I'm like, ah! Like I was like frozen for like a hot minute, and I literally couldn't spiel after that because I was just so terrified in the moment. It was bad, but they ended up like getting out right away. I'm like, oh, they actually have a brain.
hmm. Yeah, another GP story that I got from my mom was because my mom's also a coaster enthusiast. So back in the day, supposedly, and you've worked mine train, so I don't know if you've seen this happen, but back in the day, supposedly people would come to the park with their like little children, and they would sit down in mine train with the little kid in their lap and try to get restraint, have the restraint come down on their child and pass the restraint check with their child in their lap.
Yeah, that never happened with me. Surprisingly, I know it happened with other people. It never happened with me, but like and then I've had people that just didn't meet the height requirement for that and just wouldn't pay attention. They're just like, "Oh, this is a train ride. They could go on." Oh,
Little did they know it's a full blown roller
44
coaster.
inches.
Yeah.
Gotta be 44 inches or else you can't ride.
I mean, you said you worked mine train, so do you have any good GP stories from that area?
And not as good as Lantern, but and just recently I was at my train on Saturday, and mind you, I literally haven't been there since spring break, so I'm like, oh my god, like the way they're like loading the train, like with like not really social distancing between parties at mine train. So I'm trying to do the social distancing thing, and they're like, oh, we're not doing that anymore. I'm like, no one told me this. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna fill up the train, and then there was a family that just kept waiting and waiting and waiting in row one because the flash pass line and the regular line don't merge. Like something like Lantern or Superman, they merge. So, like the flash pass line was just getting longer and longer and longer. So we had to get them on, and then we have this one GP family like screaming at my unload attendant because I was at the load side. Literally like, oh, we've been waiting here for like 40 something minutes. I'm like, no, you haven't. You've been like standing there for like 10 minutes. Like, not even close. Sorry. Like, we have to let Flash Pass on first. It's our job. Sorry. Like,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, we kind of grouped it wrong. Like, it's, what do you want us to do? Like, you'll be on the next one. And they're like, what do you mean you wasted our money? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, okay. But
So, as a ride operator at Great Adventure, what are some of the hardest obstacles that you think you have to deal with on a daily basis?
dealing with, definitely, like, the GP. I know I keep saying that, but it's true. Man, you have, like, the nice ones and, like, or, like, the enthusiasts too. Like, they know how the park rolls and or the regular guests, but not enthusiasts.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, they know how the park is, they know how the ops are, whatever. And then we have the GP that like always want to cause problems. Or, I mean, Great Adventure is like the park that like people from New York go to or Philadelphia, and it's not just Jersey. So
Yeah.
people from also from New York and Philly, and I mean, like one of the biggest parks in like the tri-state area. So,
Mm-hmm.
and just like I had someone from Lantern say like, "Oh, I'm from Philly. I could talk to you all tough and stuff because I'm from there," and they just wanted to like use their Philly accent just to get into row one, and they just couldn't. I'm like, no, you gotta go to like row 5. Just yeah.
Speaking of which, I know Great Adventure just released all of the like COVID restrictions on Saturday, I believe. So are you guys still doing assigned seating?
As from what I know, yes. I mean, for Lantern, I mean it's one family per row. I mean, I think it's always pretty much always been that even before COVID. But I mean, we still sanitize the ride every hour on the hour, and we do all that stuff. So it's just the mask thing, pretty much.
Okay.
That's just the switch over.
Yeah, I'm really hoping they get rid of the assigned seating at some point because it's really annoying to do that. And
Yeah, that's why we always have a grouper hopped on at like each coaster.
and the worst part about the whole assigned seating thing too is it slows down capacity so much. And I'm sure you can attest for it, but capacity all throughout the park this year is way down compared to last year. Like Nitro's operations last year were spot on, and now dispatches are slow. Like you'd never ever wait on the brake run on Nitro. Like there'd always be a train in the station, one on a lift, one on a block.
Oh yeah.
This year, I'm on the first brake run going back into the station waiting, and then I gotta sit on the transfer and then go back into the station.
Yeah, they're just loading the train.
Yeah, dispatches this year are really like they're not what they used to be, and I don't know if that's got something to do with the staffing or if that's just because of all the COVID policies that you have in place there.
I believe it's both.
Okay.
Because staffing is pretty bad in the rides department. So, I mean, go apply to Six Flags. But, I mean, just we get like the new ones that like have no idea what they're doing. And, like, especially the ones that are brand new and they're at a coaster and they train at any coaster in the park. You gotta be really, 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 really on it and really fast.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm not saying you have to be Speedy Gonzalez, but, you gotta be fast and pick up the pace a little bit.
Yeah.
But some of them don't really know how to do that. So
understandable, especially a lot of them are first timers too. But like what I really hope for is I really hope that the new timers like they really like start to pick up on how to operate and run the ride, and maybe hopefully operations will get better out throughout the year. Hopefully.
I mean, when people are first trained at Lantern, I give them like a heads up, and like I mean, if I can't really train people because I'm a team member, but I help out with stuff because I know most stuff about the ride, and it's like how to check it and like kind of the speed to go at, or like if like someone's like too high, we have to adjust the seat so it has to be lower because you have to use your upper body to push it down, push the seats down. So like they just have to get in that groove. So That's what normally happens at Lantern, and they get it pretty fast over at Lantern. So that's like the only crew I'm not really worried about. But I haven't seen really anybody else because I've only been in the park as a guest once, and that was during a power hour. So,
Yeah, I would probably venture to say the worst operations in the park this year are Nitro and Bizarro.
really, Bizarro?
Yeah, Bizarro is bad, and I mean bad. Like, I'm talking 5-minute dispatch is bad. 5 minutes. I went to, and mind you, right, this was the first time I went to Power Hours for the year, and there was less than 500 people in the park. Literally nobody in Bizarro Station. 5-minute dispatches. How? You're loaded. Half the train.
Yeah, 3 trains, but like at the same time, it's like you're stacking.
Yeah, but like the thing is, you have all your restraints with the seatbelts on. You're not taking the seatbelts off because there's hardly anybody in the station. Like there's like maybe 3 rows that you're cycling out every train. So like all you have to do is go back around and tighten the restraints again because all your seatbelts are on already. Wow, like I just don't understand. 5 minutes is just absurd. Like even for a minimal, like for the minimal amount of people that were there, 5 minutes is a long time.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. No, and if any of the Bizarro crew is watching this, no hard feelings.
Sorry, Dennis, if you're watching this.
I guess you know some of them.
Yeah, one of my friends that I used to work with at Fantasy Force is a supervisor over there, and also an enthusiast, Bizarro Boy, is also trained there. So I mean, if he's watching, no hard feelings. I mean, last season he was also there too at Superman and a bunch of other ride groupings, but when he was at Bizarro, he was really on it. So.
Well, maybe if Bizarro Boy ends up watching this podcast, he could kind of like elaborate on why operations are a lot slower this year down in the comments. Because I'm really not trying to bash anybody. It's just I want to understand better what causes operations to become that slow, especially under circumstances like that. Like, you know, Power Hours is a minimalistic event where you have a limited amount of people allowed to go because they sell a set amount of tickets, and you know what I mean. Like the ride.
When you were there.
What's that? There was way less. There was definitely less than 500 people.
Yeah, I mean, I would figure they wouldn't be using 3, but
no, they were using 3 trains. Yeah.
Oh, they were.
Yeah. Yes, they were using 3 trains. So we would sit out on the brake run for a good, I don't know, like 7 or 8 minutes. Yeah. And both brake runs, we would stop.
They're stacking on top of that.
Yeah, we would stop on the transfer, and then we would stop on the pre-station brake run, and then, yeah, it was a total of like 7-8 minutes. I couldn't believe it. It boggled my mind. Like, I just don't understand. Like, that's why I want somebody to elaborate on that. Why ops are so slow at the park this year, because, you know, for events like that, it just does not make any sense whatsoever that they're that slow.
That doesn't make any sense.
So anyways, you during that last story that you had mentioned, you had mentioned that you guys are looking for people in the ride department, and so what would you say it's like working for Six Flags? Do you recommend it? Do you think people should give it a try? If so, what do you recommend they try to do first?
I mean, it was really hard for me at first, but like you just get used to it. You get like in the groove of it really, not super quick, but eventually you do. It just takes time, and that's why like when I first started, I was in Boardwalk and I was failing the tests, and I'm like, oh my god, now I have to quit. But I mean, then just I had people there like trying to help me and get trained there, and it just time eventually. But I recommend it because just how you deal with the general public and all that stuff, and especially for someone it's a first time job, it's beneficial for you in the future.
So what kind of benefits does Great Adventure offer to their employees?
Free admission, enter the park and 40% off on food, merchandise for Great Adventure as well as the rest of the Six Flags parks. And also, I think Sesame, Dorney, I forgot what other, I think Knoebels as well. You get a free wristband or something
Wow.
like. Yeah.
That's crazy. So they actually like collaborate with a Cedar Fair park?
Yeah, they what? Oh yeah, and Hershey. They do with Hershey too.
Wow.
So.
You learn something new every day. I could not ever imagine seeing Six Flags working with Cedar
I
Fair.
never told you that.
That's the opponent company. Like I could never saw that coming. That's a shocker to me, honestly. Like a free wristband at Dorney. Wow. That's probably the biggest one. Like that's their rival company, Cedar Fair. Like, you never would imagine Six Flags working with them like that.
With the Cedar Fair park.
Well, maybe Six Flags wants to buy Dorney, and that's why they're kind of like tugging at them. That's all right. We'll take a Six Flags America up here. No big deal.
You can use Joker's Jinx over here.
You know what? I wouldn't mind that. Joker's Jinx.
I need those credits.
In my opinion, Joker's Jinx, Bat and Batwing are better than Superman.
Really?
Yeah, I think Joker's Jinx is probably my favorite ride in the park. Also, for anybody who hates on Roar is really good too. I don't care what anybody says. Roar was a good Woody coaster.
Yeah, I heard that's terrible.
It's not.
Or like labeled as the GP coaster.
Okay, yeah, it's a GP satisfier, but you know what? Like, it wasn't rough. It had good pacing, in my opinion. I don't know if I got a good ride on it or whatever, but it had great pacing the day that I rode it. It was going pretty fast. I got decent pops of airtime in certain elements, so, like, I have nothing bad to say about it. In my opinion, the worst ride at Six Flags America is Firebird. That is the bottom of my floorless coaster list, next to Hydra.
Like from what I saw, it like operates like, or I mean, obviously it operates worse than Bizarro, but I mean, it just looks like slower.
Yeah, well,
just from looking at it, I mean, I've never been to Six Flags America, but just from what I've seen, it's like it doesn't look that great.
My thing is like this, so I think the issue with Firebird is because B&M started off with stand-up coasters. I don't think that layout was ever meant to be a floorless coaster or a sit-down coaster, because the transitions in the sit-down position on that ride are just, they're not, they jerk you good. They jerk you around pretty good. So that was like the one ride that I found unenjoyable in the park, because I liked Wild One. Wild One was a good ride too. I love Batwing. Batwing, hands down. I've been on Nighthawk at Carowinds too. Best of the two, the Flying Dutchmans. Batwing was awesome. I loved it. I have nothing bad to say about Batwing other than I wish it would just not break down every 2 hours. But you can't expect anything
Exactly.
different.
And then my friend Radzat Productions
Zach. Shout
yeah,
out to Zach.
He went to Six Flags America when it first opened, 'cause I saw his vlog.
Uh-huh.
And they all love Joker's Jinx. So,
Yeah, Joker's Jinx.
He went over there and it was down. And his girlfriend Audrey said, "Oh, somebody unplugged the microwave. I'll go fix it." It was so funny. I'm like, that's hilarious. I love that slogan that she used.
Yeah, Joker's Jinx. Sorry, I'm very tired. It's been a long week. I've been going since Wednesday, like nonstop, just going and going. So, yeah. So I definitely think like Joker's Jinx is probably the best ride at the park, in my opinion. For the layout that it has, butter smooth, very fun, forceful launch, comfortable trains. I have no complaints about it. Absolutely none. Superman's a good ride. Not a fan of the Intamin trains. Not a fan. And I'm a huge Intamin fanboy, but I'm not a fan of the Intamin trains on that. I don't like that train style. Like I think
The same one as New England, or is it a little bit different?
I think they might both be the same now. But I'm not too sure. I have to look into it. I just know I didn't like the restraint system on the one at New England either. So
Yeah, a lot of people hate on the restraints way too much.
it's just that particular style of train. Like, I love Intamins, don't get me wrong. Like, Skyrush is my number one coaster. And everybody hates Skyrush's restraints, but I don't have any problems with them. I never get my thighs crushed at all.
I mean, I don't really have a problem with their restraints. I mean, I think I rode that 4 times, and I went there in August with Coaster Crusader,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the last time one time I rode it, which was the last time I rode it, my thighs just it was bad. I mean, I rode it 4 times, but 3 times nothing happened. 4th time.
I don't understand. Well, it
weird.
probably depends on what seat you're into. Because on that ride,
Left wing seat.
yeah, that's the magic seat.
Oh, I got so lucky.
That seat in particular is what bounced it to my number one. Because I rode it on a cool fall night while it was heated up, and it was running phenomenally. Like, I think I said this on the last episode of Coaster Conventional, but there's only 2 coasters where I ever felt like I was going to die on, and it's Skyrush and Phoenix. And Skyrush, oh my god. Like, I thought I was going to fly right out of the restraint into the outer space. Like, the ejector that I got on the first drop was just nuts.
Yeah, each time I rode Skyrush, the ejector was absolutely insane. I mean, I think it was the first time I rode it because I never rode Skyrush before. Like, I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna fly out! I'm like holding on like this.
Yeah, I actually gripped.
I'm gonna die or something.
I gripped the bottom of the seat with my calves, and I had bruises on my thighs from that because I was gripping it so hard. Because that's just how worried I was. But it was great. I love the adrenaline rush that I get from it. So you've obviously been to Hershey. So like, what other parks have you been to as well?
I mean, I haven't been to a lot of parks because just working all the time. But
Yeah.
I went to obviously I've also went to American Dream. I went there twice for my 19th and 20th birthday. And then I went to Hershey in August, but I went to New England for their dino exhibit, but the rides weren't open at the time. Like, not me, but one of my best friends planned a trip to Six Flags New England, Quasi, and Lake Compounds. And us thinking, all the rides are going to be open, it's fine. New England was still down. So, but their dino exhibit was open, and then like a week before we were gonna go to New England, they announced, oh, we're opening May 15th. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
Man, you missed your first RMC.
I know, I'm like, damn it.
Sorry to hear that. Wicked Cyclone's a really good ride.
Yeah, I went to Quasi. I love Wooden Warrior. Oh my god.
Yeah, if you go on my channel and you look at the first video I've uploaded, it's actually a trip report from Compounds and Quasi. I did nothing but rave about Wooden Warrior. Like, Wooden Warrior, and I went to both Quasi and Compounds in the same day. Wooden Warrior was the best coaster of the day, hands down.
Yeah, I went on 2 different days because everyone wanted to see the dino exhibit. They're like, we want to see dino. It was I love Rad's at Productions, King Matt, and my friend Princessa. She's a supervisor at El Toro, and it was like a group of 10 of us. So we went to the dino exhibit and Quasi one day, and then we went to Lake Compounds. But the problem was with Lake Compounds, Boulder Dash wasn't even open.
Yeah, I heard it got a late start this year.
Got a late start. So when I went over there, I'm like, oh my god, I'm just not having any luck. So I mean, I got Phobia of Fear, hands down. That's so good. Their hang time.
Yeah,
hang time.
I can speak from experience too because I've been on Tempesto at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. So those Skyrocket models have 2 different versions of trains. So one is like a vest restraint, and one is just a lap bar. Phobia is the one with the lap bar, and Tempesto is the one with the vest restraint. And I can tell you from experience, Phobia blows Tempesto out of the water. Like, having the freedom of the lap bar enhanced the ride experience so much. Like, I think Phobia was my favorite ride at Compounds that day, and I rode Wildcat and Boulder Dash, and it was just, yeah.
Oh, Wildcat. Oh, I have a story about that one.
Wildcat's a really,
But I
yeah.
went on train ops
Mm-hmm.
and also maintained social distancing, which made it 10 times slower.
Oh, yeah. They did that when I went too, yeah.
So, then they had one of the old trains like in the queue line. I'm like, their train, that's just weird. But and Zach's like, oh, it was one of their old trains or whatever. And I'm like, really? I'm like, why is it there? But anyway, not the point I was making. But I was towards the back of Wildcat. They stapled the living hell out of me. They were just like, and I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna be rough. And after the lift, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. I wrote it for the credit. That's it. I'm done.
So, what other parks do you have planned to go to this year?
I mean, this isn't it's a boardwalk park. I'm going to Casino Pier on the 12th at Screams. The only thing I've actually planned this year, because I'm constantly working, so, and it's just tough to travel.
Yeah, I'm really excited because I'm going to Hollywood Nights in a couple weeks.
Oh, I wish.
And actually, I just talked to Matt yesterday morning, and we changed our plans a little bit last minute. So, like, the Saturday of Hollywood Nights, instead of going to Holiday World all day, we're pit stopping at Kings Island. So that's gonna be so lit because I'm gonna get my first Giga credit. I'm gonna ride Banshee. I'm gonna ride Mystic Timbers. I'm really hyped for that. And then after Kings Island, we're gonna show up to Hollywood Nights for the ERT. So I'll get all those credits in the same day. It's gonna be sick.
That sounds sick. A bunch of my coworkers are going to Hollywood Nights.
Yeah.
That whole week they're gonna be complaining, oh, we're well staffed. I mean, everyone's in Indiana. What do you want us to do?
Yeah, and then the next day we're going to Keys of the Kingdom, which I've actually been talking to somebody, and they brought up a good point about this. Like, you can buy Keys of the Kingdom tickets, but, like, they haven't said anything about the event, like, at all. Like, there's been no mention of anything going on for Keys of the Kingdom. Like, you can buy the ticket, but they don't, like, advertise it at all. Like, there's no flyers about them doing it. There's no, like, emails going out to anybody about what kind of events they're going to be doing there. So, to any of the viewers, like, if you guys happen to, like, dig up some information on Keys of the Kingdom, you know, definitely comment down below what's going on with that, because that's actually a really good point. Like, Hollywood Nights is, like, promoting, like, what, like, they're gonna have, like, catering and stuff like that for certain groups and stuff, and, like, a bunch of ERT, and Keys of the Kingdom just doesn't have anything. Like, I haven't heard anything that they're doing at all, so it's rather weird. But yeah, so that's gonna be a great weekend. I can't wait for Kings Island. He mentioned that to me, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. Screw it. Go to Kings Island.
I would do it. Let's go.
Which would also it's also going to make me really happy because in July, I have, at the end of July, a trip planned to Cedar Point. So that'll knock off Ohio for me.
Lucky.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I can't wait. I have a lot planned this year. And then September, I'm going to King's Dominion, so...
You got a lot of trips planned.
Yep, and then October I'll be back at Knoebels for Phoenix Fall Fun Fest. I might throw an American Dream trip in there somewhere because I have to get there before. I don't know. I'm not gonna get into details about that, but.
I mean, I had Sandy yet, so.
Yeah, is Sandy's open yet?
I mean, it is open, but what I've like. When they announced that, like, oh, it's opening, it ended up being down when I my birthday. I'm like, oh, this is just great. And then a week later they opened. I'm just bad luck.
I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah.
I didn't get that credit. So whatever. I'm just ride coasters on my birthday. That's just all I want.
Does Great Adventure not give you like any vacation time?
I mean, we would have to take off like 3 weeks in advance, and really have to really plan a trip.
Well, I mean, that would make sense because we planned Hollywood Nights like 2.5 months ago.
Yeah.
Like that's a trip that you almost can pretty much like plan. Like you could plan Hollywood Nights for next year, like now, because we all know it's gonna happen.
Obviously, yeah.
So what are you doing? Get to planning, like.
I know. I'm trying.
You gotta get out there. I've never been there before either, but
definitely. Probably next season I'm gonna try to hit Texas. 'Cause my cousins live in Texas.
Yeah.
I want to get the over Texas credits, so I'm gonna try to hit up over there next summer. But I mean, that's kind of up in the air right now. But we'll see.
Yeah, next year I think my biggest 2 locations that I want to hit is Texas and Florida. I want to get to both of those states. I want to hit Universal, obviously, for Velocicoaster. I want to hit Busch Gardens, Tampa. I definitely want to hit Fiesta, Texas, and SeaWorld, San Antonio. And if I can squeeze it, hopefully over Texas, too. So that's so far what I have planned for next year. But nothing's all set in stone yet. But definitely that's what I'm aiming for next year. Anything you got going on next year that you're like really aiming for so far, other than Texas?
I mean, as of right now, it's just Texas. But besides that, I have no clue. I mean, it's just easy travel because I haven't seen my cousins up there in so long, and they live near over Texas, so I get to ride coasters with them. And I mean, that's pretty much the only trip I have set in stone for that reason. But yeah, I mean, maybe Fiesta, Texas. I mean, I don't know. They definitely don't want to drive 4 hours, but I don't know. We'll see about that one. But definitely over Texas.
So, as we're closing in on like the last few minutes here of the podcast, is there anything else that you want to talk about?
No.
You don't have any last words or anything?
Apply to Six Flags. That's it.
Apply to Six Flags.
We need people.
Actually, one thing that I'm kind of interested in talking about with you real quick. You came up with the name Teacup Thrills. So, like, is there a story behind that?
So, Mr. Tor, like, I was operating the Teacups one day. Coaster Complex. I'm actually not friends with him anymore, but not the point. Coaster Complex, Coaster Crusader, and Mr. Toro came up to the Teacups as I was operating it. And all of a sudden, you just hear Mr. Toro say, "Hey, Miss Teacups." I'm like, what? Like,
wait, Mr. Toro, is that Ryan Friend or whatever his name is? Okay, yeah.
So, he just said, "Miss Teacups, Miss Teacups." I'm like, oh. And I was just really like digging the name. So, like, he just kept calling me Miss Teacups. So I'm just like, okay.
Teacup Thrills. That's how it happened. That's where it started.
That's how it happened. Shout out to Mr. Toro.
Ryan's pretty cool. I haven't met him personally yet. I think I've been on the same Toro train as him at a Power Hours event because
I rode with him not last week. When was I at Power Hour? The last time I was at Power Hour, I rode Toro with them.
Yeah, I think I might have been there with you guys, but I like low key just didn't know that was there. Because not this past Power Hours, the last one I went to, I was with I want to say I was there with my coworker and his family, so I think that was the last one. When's the next time you're going to Power Hours?
I have no clue.
I think I might go this Thursday. I don't know 100%, but
I'm working on Thursday.
Oh, you'll be at Lanyard Thursday? Cool. I'll make sure I come up there and sit down and tell you that I don't know how to ride the ride. Didn't know it was a stand-up coaster.
I'm done.
Wait, this is a stand-up coaster? What? I have to stand up? But what's with this little seat? Why is there a seat here if I have to stand up?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, there's a seat
I
here
feel like
for a
a total
reason.
GP.
Nah,
You have to stand on this roller coaster.
you know how stupid I would look doing that at Power Hours?
People have done that. I worked at 3 Power Hours, and like the very last one I worked the Power Hours like in April. I didn't work the ones in May, but the last one I worked in May, they're like, "We have to stand on this." I'm just like, "This is a Power Hour, and you probably have been here before. Why are you acting confused?"
Yeah.
Or you just wanted to have the GP in the moment. I don't know.
All right. You said you don't have anything else you really want to go over, so we don't have any questions, but if I do get questions in the comments section, because as I said before, this is going to be uploaded onto my channel after we finish, so I would like to thank you for coming on to the podcast. I really appreciate having you on as a guest.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. I'm always looking for people to come on as guests because I think doing a podcast with somebody else, like, it just makes it a lot more interesting and more entertaining. So, I definitely, like, this is only the 3rd episode. I'm definitely going to experiment with this podcast a little bit and probably do a couple on my own just to see how I can fare with it. But as of right now, I'm really digging, like, the whole, like, having a guest on here thing. So, for anybody who's watching, like, if you guys are coaster enthusiasts and you want to come on to the podcast, the only thing I ask is be 16 years or older. That's it. I ask respectfully. I have personal reasons for it. Don't argue with it, please. Don't hate me. But yeah, please just be like 16 or older.
I see young ones.
Yeah, it's just I expect the younger ones, like, I'm sure they're mature and everything, but, like, you know, I want to keep things as mature as possible on the podcast. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, thank you very much for coming on to Coaster Conventional. I appreciate it, everyone. This is Teacup Thrills. Her Instagram is in the description, so if you guys want to go give her a follow, the Instagram link will be there. My social media pages will also be there, so make sure you give us both a follow. And
you can see my great adventures.
yeah, Green Lantern Adventures, aka the
Green Lantern
Six
Adventures.
Flags. She's got the Six Flags curse, everybody.
Oh my gosh, we're gonna do this now.
Yeah, we're gonna end the episode off on the Six Flags curse.
Oh my god.
Alright, and I will see everybody at the next Coaster Convention.